you've got some people that you need to say hi to, Bam Bam. Oh my god. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. I feel so emotional. I've literally just said, welcome back to my channel, and I'm all... Oh my gosh. What have you done to me? I've just been expressing downstairs for an hour, trying to get enough milk out so that my mum downstairs can give her a bottle whilst I try and film this video. But yeah, I don't want you guys to think that I'm not ready to come back and film this video, but this is me now. Like, this is me just crying all the time, so emotional. So no matter of how many weeks I put this off or like don't film for, this will still be me, even in a year's, 2 years, 18 years time. Today marks just over, well, it's 2 weeks. I say exclusively breastfeeding, but does exclusively breastfeeding mean that you don't pump? Because I've breastfed, but I've also been pumping, but we've just been doing breast milk. Managed to just be surviving and thriving off breast milk, which is a big shock. I didn't expect that to happen. I'm not like literally displaying her to you guys, but I'm still just like, I'm still trying to work out how much I'm ready to show. I mean, she's trying to have a look herself anyway. You're really hungry. I know I need to take you now. Will you say, hi everyone, I'm Bambi. Nice to meet you. I'm Bambi Fury. That's my name. I know some people may not like it. But I love it. You say, I love it. You're starving. All right, let me take you downstairs. Okay, we have pulled ourselves together. I've been deciding all morning whether or not to switch on the camera today and film this video. If you saw my Instagram story, I was just basically saying that I was really nervous to sit down, try and film this video, and then for me not to get my words out. I've kind of not slept now in 2 weeks, and I'm learning how to function that way, but filming a video is obviously a new thing whilst having no sleep for 2 weeks, so just bear with me. I'm really gonna try my best today to sit down and tell you all about my birth. So this is gonna be my birth story. I also kind of want to merge this into talking about my first week as being a mum. The first week, the first 2 weeks, you all tried to tell me, didn't you? You all tried to prepare me. You all tried to say, listen, Molly, like, you know, it's all well and good. You think you know what's about to happen, but you don't know. And I don't want to now be that person that's saying, well, you have no idea what to expect. But I think until you become a mum, until you experience that first week, those first 2 weeks of being a mum, like you really don't, you just can't explain it. You can't explain the emotions you're gonna feel. It's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me, but also the best thing that has ever happened to me. I've connected with Bambi on a whole other level. When I was pregnant, I really didn't put pressure on myself to, the minute she was born, feel this undying, crazy, you know, magical love that everyone talks about, because sometimes that doesn't come straight away. So I didn't put pressure on myself. And also something that I've never really spoken about before is that my mum actually suffered really, really horrendously with postnatal depression with both my sister and I, and it's something that I was always very, very cautious about, and I didn't want to put this huge pressure on myself to give birth to Bambi and be literally like besotted and infatuated. But the minute she was born, I have just connected with her on a whole nother level, and the love that I feel for that baby, I will get emotional talking about it, and I don't want to be that annoying new mum. I don't want to annoy you guys, but oh my gosh, like when I look at her, I can't, like, there's literally, the only way I can describe it is there's literally nothing on this planet that I wouldn't do for her. Like, I would literally take a bullet for her, and your whole world just becomes about them. You like, it sounds terrible, but especially for the first period, like you don't matter anymore. Like for me, that's how I felt. Like I've literally, and that's why I need to talk to you guys about so much. Oh my god, but you literally feel like you don't matter anymore, and all that matters is them and making them happy and making sure they're comfortable and keeping them healthy, keeping them alive. Because right now, like, I am what's keeping her alive, you know, like these titties, like these are providing, okay? They are providing, they are thriving. Like, we need to be keeping, obviously need to be looking after myself, but yeah, it's just, God guys, like, where do I even begin? I can't believe I can now say her name. The long awaited name reveal that was a really hard day for me, I'll be completely honest, announcing her name. I don't know if you guys will notice, but I did switch the Instagram comments off on that post. I think I was just brought back down to planet Earth very quickly of like how nasty this world can be. And I think because we'd literally always known that our first baby girl was going to be called Bambi, we had gotten so used to the idea of that being her name, and to us it wasn't really unusual anymore. And I know it is definitely unusual and unique and not going to be to everyone's taste. So when we announced it, in my mind I was like, oh, like it's just this beautiful, like that's just her, like she's Bambi, and like that's just this beautiful name, like, and it's amazing. And then like 2 seconds after posting it, I was like, oh my god, like I don't know why I'm even talking about this in this video, because this is meant to be like a really positive, happy video. But yeah, just there's so many things from the last 2 weeks that like we have to talk about and just catch up on. But this is gonna be my birth story. I have actually written it all down in this book, and it's taken up 6 pages. I've not written that much since I was in secondary school doing my GCSEs. I did mention the other day on my Instagram story a little bit about my delivery of Bambi and how my birth went and the type of birth that I had. I called it a natural delivery, and a lot of people were in my DMs saying you should have called it a vaginal delivery because all births are natural. And when I read that, like I actually felt kind of disappointed in myself and like a bit upset that I'd not really thought about that. Of course, all births, cesarean, vaginal, like they're literally all natural, like they're all incredible, and however you've given birth to your child, or however you plan to give birth to your child, or however it turns out, is natural and amazing and incredible. But I was able to vaginally give birth to her. Now guys, like I actually like, if you've been following my pregnancy journey, then you will know that was, for me, like, oh my god, like I pushed her out of my vagina, like, what? Don't get me wrong, that down there will never be the same again. Okay, it might be, I don't know, we're still obviously working that out. So on the 18th, we went down to London for a kind of like a routine checkup. I was 37.5 weeks at this point. When we went for this appointment, I had an internal check because I had told the lady delivering our baby that I'd been experiencing quite a lot of pain down there, and it almost felt like for that last week I had like a brick inside my vagina, and it was very heavy down there, very achy. I was struggling to walk actually, and every time I walked it just kind of felt like I was about to give birth to a brick. And I just kind of told her about this, and she was like, right, let's just do a quick internal to check what your cervix is saying. She was like, I'm sure your cervix is going to be long, hard and closed. They were the 3 words, long, hard and closed, for my cervix. And I was like, okay, great. So she did an internal check, and she was like, your cervix is definitely not long, hard and closed. Your cervix is very soft, very favourable was the word that she used, and you're actually already 1 centimetre dilated. This is at 37.5 weeks, I was already 1 centimetre dilated. So all those achy pains, all those like brick falling out of my vagina pains, walking around and feeling like, oh my gosh, like agony down there, that was my cervix basically saying, we're kind of ready to do this. Like this baby, she's on her way. And our doctor said that she really didn't think that we were going to make it at all to the my due date. She didn't think we were actually going to make it many more days, to be honest. She was like, I really think this baby could come at any point. Like your cervix is showing all signs that it's ready to go into labour. Obviously, Tommy and I were very shocked. We were very unprepared. We'd actually just found this out the day before I'd filmed my hospital bag video, and that's why in that video I was like, guys, I've got a lot going on, because I just found out that I was going to be giving birth in a couple of days. I was going to be induced. The reason we decided to be induced and not let the labour come on naturally is because obviously, like I said, we'd chosen to give birth in London, and also, as you guys know, I can't really avoid talking about it, Tommy has an absolutely gigantic fight in just a couple of weeks, and we, through this period of life, really just needed to have some sort of understanding of like when things were going to be happening. Needed to have a rough understanding of when Bambi was going to be making her arrival, so that I wasn't going into labour and he wasn't here, you know, not like, able to be with me, because that would have been really bad. So this was on the Thursday that we had this appointment, and the doctor recommended we come back for the Monday the 23rd, and I be induced to have Bambi. So that's basically what happened. So Thursday we came home. Friday I spent all day packing. I filmed my hospital bag video. Then I went down that night and I stayed in London the weekend just in case anything was to happen, because obviously my cervix was showing all signs that I was ready for labour, and I just wanted to be in London just in case anything happened. Monday morning came around and 7 AM we went in to hospital. Sorry that I'm like literally reading this from a book, but my brain is just so not functioning at the minute. This is kind of how I need to do it. So I've written down here 7:30 AM I had a gel inserted into my vagina. This is going to be real TMI in the story. I'm not going to hold back on anything, and I'm ready for all of the embarrassing headlines, guys. You know when I spoke about in my last video breastfeeding from myself, you should see, like even my family were like, Molly, like come on now, what are you doing? There was literally a Daily Mail article and the screenshot was me like lifting my boob into my mouth, and the headline was Molly-Mae tried to breastfeed herself. And I was like, do you know what? Like I can't win. I want to tell you guys everything and be open and be myself on my channel, but then I get smacked with stuff like that, and I'm like, do you know what? Like I would take all of the embarrassing headlines just to be completely 100 with you guys and keep it real. So the gel that I had inserted, I believe is it's meant to sort of like give signals to your body and sort of make it understand that you want it to go into labour. It's meant to sort of like soften your cervix, and I was told that that gel was going to take 6 hours to be effective. So I was hooked up to monitors, the gel was inserted, Tommy and I were in the hospital, like it was all very chilled, and I was like, okay, 6 hours, I'm just going to be chilling. I'd probably say within, no word of a lie, 10 minutes after that gel was inserted, the pain, guys, it's no joke, it's no joke. 6 hours I was told. After 10 minutes I was like, ah, like I was gagging in pain. Oh my God, the amount of pain. It was untrue, I'll be completely honest, it was untrue. And do you know what I know the best part about it is? That wasn't even contractions. The pain I was experiencing was not contractions, and the way I was crying, screaming, nearly throwing up, the nurses were looking at me as if to be like, oh God, this is gonna be a long day. This is gonna be a long day. I'm not gonna sit here and say I took it like a champ, like I breathed through those pains, like I had it under control. I didn't have it under control. Like I was in pain, and it was really, really hard. It kind of felt like what I'd imagine a contraction to feel like, but kind of constant. There was no break. It was just like, I was in this pain for 5 hours. 5 hours of just excruciating. I would describe it as period pains. I would, but it was like intense to the point where like from my head to my toes I could feel the period pain, if that makes sense. It like kind of overtook my whole body. Spent the morning 5 to 6 hours sort of rolling around in the bed, crying in agony. I didn't have gas and air or anything. I just kept saying to the nurses, like, as soon as you can give me an epidural, please give me an epidural. Personally, an epidural was something that I always wanted to have. I just kind of knew that my pain threshold probably wasn't going to be high enough to get me through a completely natural delivery. I know I called it a natural delivery again on my story, which I then sort of questioned, well, I had an epidural, so it's not necessarily natural, but you guys know what I mean. So around midday, I was given my epidural. The epidural being administered, like the pain of that, I would say was literally a 1 out of 10. Like they give you sorry, I can't speak. They give you an injection first. I don't know if it's like a local anaesthetic in your back, just like a little injection, so that the actual putting the epidural in, like the tube in your spine or whatever it is, you don't really feel it. So the doctor, who was amazing, he gave me my little injection for pain relief, and then he put the epidural in. You just have to sit up really, really straight. In fact, I'll pop a picture on the screen as to what my back looked like. But I will say at first, my epidural, it wasn't really working. The doctor kept saying like, so like, can you feel? And I was like, oh, no, I can still feel everything. Like I can still feel this pain, it's not going. I was like, we need to up the dose. We need to up this dose now, because this is not what I expected for an epidural. I thought when the epidural got put in, like I would just feel numb. Like I would literally just feel nothing, but that wasn't the case for me. We did have to do quite a few doses. After all that, and my epidural was in and working, my doctor came in and she broke my waters. Tommy watched that whole process. Like he literally watched everything. He also watched me giving full birth to Bambi. Like he saw everything and he absolutely loved it. I didn't know if he'd like want to look at things like that, but yeah, he saw my waters get broken. He saw my mucus plug fly out when the waters got broken. Like he literally saw everything and he loved it. Oh.
Well, hello.
Hello there. I just said, that's quite good timing actually, because I literally just said that you watched the whole thing.
I did, seen everything.
What do you think?
Seen everything. It was like a science class, but in real life. It was the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Was it?
Yeah, because it's like...
It was magical, wasn't it?
It's weird because before you have a child and someone tells you that you're going to see this and you're going to see that and you're going to see this cut and that cut, you feel like spewing your guts up. But when you see it, it's the most beautifulest thing. It's so pure. You can't describe it. You literally have to go through it to describe it.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about being the dad?
The single-handedly best thing that's ever happened so far and the best thing that will ever happen in my entire life.
Aww.
You know, work, you know, holidays, whatever, it just doesn't compare to being a father and having your own family.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling in the world.
It is.
I love that little girl.
Yeah. No, they have great cuddles. They have great cuddles. I think because on me, 24/7, she smells milk and she associates me with feeding. So she doesn't really settle that well with me because whenever she's with me, she's like, we call her a little truffle pig. She's just like snuffling around for milk. Like all she wants to do is feed. But when she's with you, she's like, and like she just falls asleep on his chest and can just be lying there for like 4 hours, just not moving.
The best thing.
She is the best thing, isn't she?
You went up 100 gazillion% in my book. Like the respect that I had a lot of respect for women anyway because of what they go through periods and stuff like that. But then birth is a completely different level. So after seeing that and experiencing what she went through, you know, it's just honestly men are pretty much useless to be honest. You know, women are honestly they deserve a lot of credit because the stuff they have to go through. You got to be a very, very strong woman to go through it, and credit to anybody who has gone through it. You got women power. Sorry, never again.
Don't ever do that again.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm...
Okay. What's for the 10k?
Well, I wrote it all down, didn't I?
Oh yeah.
So I'm just trying to remember it.
Is this all going to be one video or two?
It's going to be one video, I think.
Could do it in parts like you do the vlogs.
I know. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit everything in this video because it's already
How long
about...
is it already?
It's long.
We're brand new, we're taking every day as it comes, but I do think, you know, well, you're handling it very well because you're doing everything. She's breastfeeding, she's, you know, doing all the milking and whatever.
Milking? I'm basically a cow, aren't I?
Yes.
I'm a walking, talking cow.
Again.
With a
Men feel useless because when she needs feeding, I can't give her anything from these.
She does try.
She does try, yes.
She does try and suckle at the titty.
Yeah. I try and give her some milk, but there's nothing there to give.
I'm sending Tommy out in a bit to go and try and find me a new breast pump because I'm not really thriving with any of the ones I've got right now, so... Anyway.
Right, I'm going to have an hour and then I'll go and get your breast pump. Okay?
Okay.
Right.
I love you.
Love you.
Tune in 26th of Feb.
Be there, be square.
For a demolition job.
Exactly.
I completely have forgotten where I've gotten up to. But from what I think I said my hormone drip was started, my waters were broken, and we were sort of getting into the flow of things now. Labour was sort of taking place, but I could feel the sensations of my contractions. So I could feel my whole body and my whole stomach like going super, super, super tight. Like my whole body could feel it, but there was no pain. And I could feel that happening. So I could still feel like my whole labour. I could still feel what was going on. I still was completely aware as to what was going on with my body. But I was in no pain, which was just absolutely magical. So it got to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is where things happened very, very quickly. And I'm going to try and explain this as simply and as easy to understand as possible. Basically, since the minute I was hooked up to the monitors in the morning, the doctors and nurses weren't happy with Bambi's movement and her heart rate. They were just not really happy with how she was doing in my stomach. Now, the craziest part about all of this is that the whole day I kept saying to them, she's a really quiet baby in the days. Like I've told you guys so many times, like I never really felt Bambi move in the day, but I kind of always put that down to the fact that I had an anterior placenta. But I kept saying to the doctors every time they were saying like, you know, we're not too happy with her movement, we're not too happy with her heart rate. They just weren't quite 100% at all with how she was doing inside my stomach from the second I got hooked up in the morning at 7 before we'd even started anything. But I did keep saying to them, I was like, I don't know, you know, this might just be her. Like she's a very quiet baby in the day. Like I never tend to feel her. She's very chilled. She doesn't really move a lot. But obviously they're doctors and they're not going to be like, oh, okay, well if you said that, then we'll totally believe you. Like we'll just totally just think that's just what it is. Because I'd only dilated to 3 centimeters, the doctor basically said that with Bambi's strange movements and heart rate, she was like, I'm really not sure I want to try and push your body too much further. She was like, I don't know if your body's coping with it that well. I don't know if the baby girl is coping with it that well. She was like, I'm just not too sure this is quite going to plan. So at 4 o'clock, the word cesarean, C-section did get mentioned, and she was like, it's a possibility that you might have to go in for a C-section if baby girl doesn't sort of like perk up or doesn't sort of start responding how we want her to, if you don't start dilating more. Like, we need to sort of see some sort of movement, some sort of signs. So then from that point on, I kind of believed that I was having a C-section. Tommy was actually asked to get into scrubs, so that's why in the picture where we announced that Bambi was born, Tommy was actually wearing scrubs that you'd wear if your partner had had a C-section and you'd go into theatre with them. So he put his scrubs on, he had like a hairnet on and everything, and they were really convinced that we were going to have a C-section because, like I say, my body and Bambi, they just things just weren't quite going to plan, which is really, really common with an induction and something that I was totally prepared for and had expected, and it was just, I really didn't mind at that point. I was just like, however we have to get her here safely. Like, when she mentioned C-section, I had always thought I'd be like very disheartened and I'd be like, oh, you know, I really wanted to try and have a vaginal birth, but I didn't care at that point. I was just like, listen, like, however it has to happen, like, I just want her to be here safe. And it'd been a long day. I was, you know, I was just really excited to meet her, and I was just really lucky in that situation that I had doctors that were really paying close attention to my body and really paying close attention to Bambi, and were just really looking after us. So just as Tommy had gotten his scrubs on and we were basically about to be wheeled down to have a C-section, my doctor said, let me just check you one last time and just double check that you're not dilating more. Miraculously, she was like, miraculously you might have gone to like 9 centimetres, like let's just see, like we'll just do one last check before we go down to theatre. So she did one last check. And that one last check showed that I had gone from 3 centimetres to 7 centimetres in 20 minutes, which is crazy. It was almost like, I don't know, but it was almost like my body was like, no, like, let's do this, like, we can do this. It's almost like Bambi was like, I can come out, mum, like, I can come out through your vagina, like, we can do this. And my doctor was like, oh my God, you're 7 centimetres, like, you might be able to do this, like, we might be able to do this. She was like, I'm gonna leave you just like 10 more minutes. Let's just give you 10 more minutes. Let's just see what your body can do. They were like monitoring Bambi really closely. Like, after that extra 10 minutes, I was checked again, and my doctor said, right, we are doing this, like, you're gonna push this baby out of your vagina, like, let's get this going, like, we're gonna do this. And I was like, oh my God, and like the energy in the room, like, it was literally insane. So it's all such a massive blur, and funnily enough, I did actually film me giving birth. I have the best, most magical video of me giving birth, and I don't know why in God's, on this planet, I thought I would feel like I could show that online. Like, that is the most vulnerable and like the most vulnerable video I will ever have of me. And to women that put that online and open themselves up, like, that is incredible. And you have, like, I think it's so amazing. Like, I have a whole new respect for women that do birth vlogs now and like show that and show their births online. Like, that is amazing. And like the fact that you have the confidence to do that, like, I can barely watch my video back myself. I think I've watched it back once with no volume. I bawled my eyes out watching it, and I feel like it's, I don't know, I just feel like I will definitely never ever be able to show that. I don't even know if I'll ever be able to show it to anyone. My sister is begging and begging and begging to watch it, and I'm just like, oh God, I don't know. I just feel like I can't. So yeah, anyway, I put my legs up in the stirrups, and Bambi was actually a ventouse baby. So a ventouse, I don't know like exactly how to describe it, but it's kind of like a suction cup that goes on the baby's head. And now I'm talking about it, I say I had, I said online that I had like a natural delivery. There was nothing like particularly natural about my birth at all. Like, I had an epidural, I had loads of pain medication, I had a ventouse, which means essentially when I'm pushing Bambi out, my doctor was also pulling Bambi out. So like a suction cup goes on her head, and she was sort of kind of, if I can see from the video now, she was sort of kind of like gently wiggling her out and sort of pulling her very gently as I was pushing through my contractions. But the pushing, oh my God, like, I loved it. And obviously I loved it because of my epidural. I'll be completely honest, like, this is just me being completely honest. I enjoyed the pushing because I had an epidural. I don't think I'd have enjoyed the pushing if I hadn't had an epidural. I don't think I would have probably enjoyed the whole labour if I hadn't had my epidural. And that's just me being completely honest. My epidural made me personally completely enjoy my labour. I would do it again in a heartbeat. because I could still feel everything. I had all the sensations, but I was not in any pain. So every time I had a contraction, I could kind of feel it myself still. They did tell me when to push, but obviously when you have an epidural, like you don't feel it the same way that you would if you hadn't. But I could still kind of have the sensations of when it was time to push. So I'd push really hard, which again, I could still feel Bambi's head coming out of my vagina. Like I could literally feel her head coming out of me. I know I keep going on about it loads, but I have to give credit to it because it doesn't sound normal otherwise. Because of my epidural, I could feel Bambi's head coming out of my vagina completely. I had the sensation that her head was sliding out of me, but I wasn't in pain. And I have to just say that because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Like, why was your birth, like, why were you so calm? Like, why are you enjoying it so much? And that's the reason why. But yeah, I was pushing. She was literally like coming out of me. I could feel it. It was incredible. And like, to be honest with you, I'm sure I'm gonna get loads of questions of like, what did it feel like? Like for me, it did actually feel like I was doing a poo. And by the way, did I poo in birth? Yes, I did, I think. The doctors were like, oh, like, no, you haven't, like, don't worry about it. But I think I did. I think I'm pretty sure, I'm 99.9% sure I could smell it. Because I know you're gonna be like, did you poo in birth? Yeah. That's one thing as well when I was pushing, I was quite nervous about, because I was like, I know, guys. I was saying to the doctors, I was like, I know if I push the way I'm gonna push this baby out, I am gonna poo. And they were like, don't worry about it. They're like, we see it every day. They were like, we see it 24/7, like 90% of women poo when they give birth. And I was like, do you know what, like, I know, but at the same time, like, this is a very vulnerable position for me right now. Like, my legs are in stirrups, there's medical professionals all around me, my boyfriend is stood here, like, I don't want to poo myself. Like, yeah, and you guys know me, I have zero dignity. And even in that moment, I still cared. I don't know why. Stupid, like, really stupid. But yeah, I was just pushing as hard as I could. And I think altogether I did about eight pushes, like 8 big pushes, 8 huge pushes all together. And yeah, she was out, and they just pulled her up to me, and they had actually said to me, because of her heart rate and movement, they were like, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to put you on her on your chest straight away. We are going to have to take her off and check her over, because we're not quite happy with how she's doing. But she came out screaming, crying, and they gave her to me straight away, and they like popped her on my chest, and I was just looking at her, and I was like, I was in complete and utter shock. That's the only way I can describe it. I was in literal, just complete and utter shock. Tommy was sobbing his heart out. Like, I've never seen that boy. I don't think I've probably seen him cry a couple of times, but he was like, like the snot streaming from his nose, and we were just like hugging, and she was there, and honestly, it was like the most magical experience of my entire life. Like, I will never ever get over it, and I am just so lucky that I was given the opportunity by my doctor to try for a vaginal birth. Like, she could have very easily have just said, you know what, like, baby's not doing well, let's get you down for the C-section. Like, but she gave me the chance. She gave me and my body the chance to do it the way I wanted to do it. So yeah, then Bambi was born. So her weight, I've had so many questions about her weight. She was 7 pounds on the dot. So yeah, she was a 7 pound baby. After she was born, something really funny happened actually. I don't know why, stupidly, I kind of had forgotten that I'd had an epidural. And I tried to get out of bed, and this is, I'm talking maybe 10 minutes or so after I'd literally given birth. And the picture that I posted online was literally about 2 minutes after I gave birth. One of the nurses literally just like took a picture of Tommy and I, and that's why I just love that picture so much, because Bambi was literally like 2 minutes old. I'd literally just pushed her out, like the emotions in that picture, like that will forever be my favorite picture ever on the planet. But yeah, about 10 minutes or 20 minutes or something after I gave birth, Tommy was holding Bambi in a chair by the bed, and I tried to get out of bed and stand up and walk over to them both. And when I like pivoted myself out of bed and like stood up, I just literally dropped to the ground like a sack of potatoes. I just like collapsed in a heap. My legs literally, like when I remember it, my legs literally just went whoa, like they just went like jelly, and I just like collapsed to the floor. And the nurse was like, oh my God, like really panicking. But I was laughing when it happened because I was like, no, I'm not faint. I'm fine. I'm literally okay. I'm just an idiot. Like I can't feel my legs. Why did I try and stand up? But I'd say the sensation probably came back to my legs properly about an hour later, an hour or 2 hours later. I had 2 stitches down below, which I'm not gonna talk about a few things that I was gonna talk about in this video. I think I'm gonna have to film a separate video because this is gonna be the longest video on planet Earth. Literally no one can prepare you. Nothing anybody can say can prepare you for what you go through when you become a mum and what you experience and the emotions you feel and the love you feel, but also the challenge that it is. Boy, oh boy, I have never been challenged like it in my entire life. Sorry if the angle's changed slightly, I have just changed the battery pack. But I was just reading through my notes there and I have another 3 pages about all the other stuff that I wanted to talk about in this video. Things that happened in hospital just after I gave birth with Bambi, and also the first week of being a mum, and things that happened, but I know that I will literally be sat here for another 30 minutes and I really, really want to talk about that stuff in detail, and tell you guys the stories and the things that I went through, the tears that I cried, the days that I literally thought, I literally can't, I don't know. Like, I know you guys all told me, and I feel like a bit of an idiot coming back now and sitting here and saying you were right. You guys warned me about the sleep deprivation. I think in my head I had it that I would potentially maybe per night be able to get 2 hours, 3 hours sleep and I'd be able to survive off that. But actually what I experienced was from the minute I gave birth on the Monday night until about day 5, I actually didn't sleep a single hour. I didn't have a single hour. For the first week, I absolutely just ran completely off adrenaline. I made myself really quite unwell. By day 5, I definitely will tell you like the full stories, but day 5 was 100% the hardest day of my entire life. Not a doubt in my mind. Like that was the hardest day of my life. I genuinely was scared for myself, my health. Like I was really, really scared, because like I said, I had 0 sleep for 5 nights. I've only felt like the last couple of days I've sort of started to get a bit of a grip of myself and start to feel, I definitely wouldn't say normal. I am far from feeling normal, but I'm definitely starting to remember to take care of myself. I'm remembering to give myself breakfast and to make myself dinner, and remembering to have a shower, brush my teeth. I'll be completely honest, I think there was like stints of like maybe 3 days where I didn't brush my teeth or even shower or, you know, change my flipping period pad, because things they don't tell you as well, you will be on the heaviest, it's not a period, but you will just bleed insane amounts for the next, like for the period after you have a vaginal delivery. But even things like remembering to change my pad, giving myself a minute to clean myself, look after myself, like you literally just don't prioritize yourself anymore. I can't explain it. It's like your own needs just don't matter. And the last few days I have definitely started to realize that I have to take care of myself. Like I am not a good mother. I'm not going to be a good mother to Bambi if I don't also take care of myself. Boy, oh boy, has this been a crazy, crazy experience so far, and one that I am so beyond excited to keep learning about and keep experiencing. Like no matter how hard the days are and no matter how sleep deprived I am, or you know, whatever, like it's like you would do it a million times over. Like I would live day 5, the hardest day of my life, I would live that every single day for the rest of Bambi's life, just to make sure she's got everything that she needs. I will leave this video on this really cringy, soppy note, which will probably make me cry. But I just when I wrote this down in my notes, I wanted to remember to mention this. So there's this song in Mamma Mia called Slipping Through My Fingers, and whenever me and my mum used to watch that film, or that song would come on the radio, or like that song would like be played and my mum would hear it, my mum would always burst into tears and cry her eyes out. And the other day, and I used to get so embarrassed, like, Mum, like, what are you doing? That's so embarrassing, like, don't cry, like, it's just a song. And then the other day I was on Instagram and they created a reel and they'd used that song, and the minute it came on, the way I burst into tears was not normal. Like the tears streaming down my face from the lyrics of that song, and it was like a massive full circle moment where I was like, oh my god, like I now realise, getting emotional, like you suddenly just like, I now realise like why my mum used to like cry so much at that song, and like you just yeah, the lyrics and everything, like you just resonate with it. When you become a mum, like you resonate with things so differently. Bambi's literally 2 weeks old and I am already upset that she's growing up. I'm already upset that she's slipping through my fingers. Like that is literally, what is wrong with me? She's 2 weeks old. Not that I want to actually finally leave this video on a disclaimer, but I do just want to give a quick disclaimer because I didn't give it at the start of this video, which I probably should have. What I have told you guys today in the story that I have told is my birth story. Now, I am not sitting here saying that I had the most relatable birth, the most realistic birth, a birth that, you know, people are going to be like, wow, that's like, I can really resonate with that. Like that's just my birth story, what I've told you today. I wasn't going to hold back and not tell you guys the truth about my birth just because I'm worried about people being like, well, that's not relatable, that's not realistic, like that's not how it would be if you'd been to this hospital or you'd gone here. But I'm not saying that I don't recognise that, and I do understand that. Either way, I just wanted to sit down today and tell you how I gave birth to Bambi, and I really hope that we can all just be kind to one another, especially at this time for me, whilst I am extremely emotional. Just don't tip me over the edge, guys, come on. Please don't tip me over the edge, because the edge is here, and I'm literally here, okay? I'm literally here. Yeah. If you made it to the end of this video, then my oh my, are you a trooper. Well done. I love you millions, and hopefully I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.